This was a really good year for video games. I've never done this on my channel before, but I wanted to rank my personal top 10 games of 2023. And this is also the first year where I actually did play 10 games that came out. As always, this is just my own personal opinion, my own personal list of the games that I personally played. So if there's something on this list here that you disagree with, that's what all of the opinions are for. And honestly, this year, a lot of them were kind of like interchangeable from like 1 to 2, 5 to 6. Like a lot of them were kind of like in the same spot, but I gotta rank them, so that's just kind of how it is. So before we even get started with my top 10 list, I do want to actually go through a couple of honorable mentions because like I said, this was a very good year for video games. This honorable mentions list is going to be more for the games that did come out that probably would have made my list if I actually played them. So up first, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. I'm not really much of a Zelda guy, and obviously not really a big fan of Nintendo in general with their practices. However, I do have to acknowledge how great of a game Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was. I was talking with a couple of friends of mine, and one of them specifically just had an absolute blast with it. For me, it was just kind of more like thinking like, just felt like Breath of the Wild 2, but with the sheer scope and obviously like legacy that Zelda has, I can't just not acknowledge it. Up next, we have Alan Wake 2. I wanted to play the first one. Unfortunately, I just didn't have the time to do it before the second one came out. And the second one apparently blew the hats off of pretty much everybody in the horror/survival horror community. And I am looking forward to playing the first and second game eventually, but with all the other projects that I have right now, I'm just not sure when that's actually going to happen, but I'm looking forward to it. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I was so busy with other projects when this game came out. It was around the time that I think Resident Evil 4 came out. However, I'm glad that I didn't play it because they had horrible performance issues on console and on PC that was only very recently fixed. So I would like to go back and play it at some point. It really should have been delayed, and I feel like if it was delayed to have that better experience, I probably would have played it. For right now, that's just kind of where it is on my list. Lies of P. I played the demo and I enjoyed it. Likely have had it very high on the tier list if I actually did play through the full thing, and there's really nothing else to say about it. An awesome Soulsborne game that was really good this year. The last one that I have is actually Baldur's Gate 3. It's just not my type of game, but I have to acknowledge how good it is and how well received it was, so nothing really else to say after that. It's just good game. I haven't played it, have no interest in playing it, but it was a great game. Coming in at number 10, we have Bayonetta Origins, Cereza, and the Lost Demon. This came out earlier this year around March, like right before Resident Evil 4, and I really enjoyed it. The thing about this game though is that it's not like the traditional Bayonetta games with the like hacking and slashing and beat 'em upping. It was really more like a puzzle type of game, and you know, it was kind of like a nice like fairy tale-ish childhood sort of experience. It was rated T, not rated M like the other Bayonetta games are. It's just completely different from the other Bayonetta games, so really in terms of just like the story, it's really good to get that sort of background information and kind of experience like the world of Bayonetta from not only just like a different gameplay style, but from a different like perspective in terms of ratings as well. Coming in at number 9, we have Jackbox 10. Pretty much whenever any Jackbox game releases in a given year, it's likely that it's going to make my list, but Jackbox 10 I only played one time and I really enjoyed all of the mini games there. It's been a while since I've enjoyed like the entire package. I think my favorite one had to be the musical stuff, and like my friends and I were playing it. We were having an absolute blast with it, and we were laughing our asses off. It was so funny. Very great family game. Highly recommend it for that like sort of like party experiences, and it makes my list. Coming in at number 8, I have Like a Dragon Ishin. Like a Dragon Ishin has a lot of content. However, in terms of comparing it to the other games in the Like a Dragon series, it just fell short for me, especially because this game was really highly anticipated, it being a Japanese exclusive for the longest time and finally coming to the West. Ishin is the only game so far that I paid full price for in the Like a Dragon series, but I wish I got at a discount. Whereas every other game in the Like a Dragon series, I got at a discount or for free, but I happily would have paid full price for. It's not saying that it's bad, but I am saying that I wish I kind of waited a little bit more. Coming in at number 7, I have Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2, a surprise release that did not really have a whole lot of time to get marketed, but when it came out, I really enjoyed it, especially for what it was. You know, it was a $50 experience. I still enjoy playing it. It had a couple of issues at launch that have since been fixed, but I think the style of game and the way that it actually plays plays. Obviously they have the voice acting, they have like a small campaign, not really a whole lot of first player experiences after that, but really once you're playing the game online and you're playing with people, it is a lot of fun. And whether you're playing with friends who use items, you're doing 4-player matches, I personally prefer 1v1s and just playing online and ranked and stuff. The rollback netcode is actually like really good, and I enjoy playing it for that purpose also, and it makes my list. I'm a Squidward main, and you can't go wrong with having Squidward in your top 10 games of 2023 list. Coming in at number 6, I have another Like a Dragon game, and that is Like a Dragon Gaiden. I technically lied when I said that Ishin was the only Like a Dragon game that I paid full price for. I also paid full price for this, and I enjoyed every single second of it. It was a side game, so it was definitely shorter than the rest of the series. However, that does not excuse it from being an absolute banger of a game, and personally one of my favorite games in the series in general. For it being like the bridge between Yakuza 6 and Yakuza 7 and 8 for Kiryu specifically, and this game essentially being hyping up another game that's coming out early next year, Like a Dragon 8 or Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, I think it did a really good job of that, and I think it really reinforced why I love this series so much, and more specifically, why I love Kazuma Kiryu as a protagonist, and why I love the beat-em-up stuff. And really, this is what I feel like they were kind of building up to when it came to the beat 'em up stuff in the Like a Dragon saga. It was really great seeing the fully realized Dragon Engine combat with Kiryu, and it was great. Coming in at number 5, I have Marvel's Spider-Man 2. I've talked a lot about my own personal experiences with Marvel's Spider-Man 2, but I still rate it very high on my Game of the Year list. The thing about Marvel's Spider-Man 2 that I'm always going to go back for, the traversal is just next level. It's basically the whole point of the game. And then you have the combat and the story as like a side piece, right? And honestly, I was kind of torn between putting Spider-Man 2 in Like a Dragon Gaiden like kind of on that 5-6 list, because I personally prefer the combat and the story of Gaiden a little bit more. However, Marvel Spider-Man 2 has that super duper addictive traversal system, and I think that adding that story and just all of the polish and quality of life stuff like on top of that rates it a little bit higher for me. I'm looking forward to all of the updates. I wish that they had those updates when the game released, and honestly, Spider-Man 2 means a lot to me personally as well. He's obviously my favorite superhero, and I really enjoyed the story and all of the other suits. I'm just using the Andrew Garfield suit the most personally, especially after I beat the game, and once the New Game Plus patch comes out, I will be playing through the game again, pretty much exclusively in Andrew Garfield suits. So number 4, we have the Street Fighter 6. Not only my favorite fighting game of this year, but one of my favorite fighting games period. And I say this as a Marvel guy and not a Street Fighter guy, but Street Fighter 6 made me a fan of Street Fighter. I think that I'm rating it so highly on this list because rollback netcode is amazing. I have enjoyed 2 main characters that I've played so far, which are Ken and Luke, and I really feel like I'm able to not play like how everybody else is playing Ken and Luke, but I feel like I'm able to express those characters in my own style. I really like the drive rush system and the drive impact system. I think it helps a lot in both the beginner and the advanced aspect, but I think the thing that also really does it for me is the modern controls, because modern controls really broadens the audience of Street Fighter, and I think that having a modern control scheme for more people to get into fighting games is just a great idea, and I think it was executed very well here. And every time I see a modern control player, and I never go, oh crap, it's a modern control player, they're cheating. I just think, oh my god, they're gonna have better reaction times than me, so I'm going to have to watch out, and I almost have to play a completely different game because of that. It also helps that I'm a little cracked at Street Fighter 6 myself. Coming into number 3, another Capcom game, Resident Evil 4 the remake. Was just a great game this year. It really was. I love the way that it played, taking what worked about the original game and putting it into the remake while adding a whole bunch of other stuff to it. I loved the parry, I loved the quick time like melee roundhouse kicking stuff that you can do. Obviously the story was great, and I also loved seeing the differences between the remake and the original without just completely replacing the original outright. They came out with the Separate Ways DLC this year, which was a $10 edition, along with the Mercenaries mode, which was a free DLC edition. I think that was really cool, especially just for like $10. I thought it was personally worth it to be able to go through like a, what was it, like a 6-hour campaign that you can go through multiple times. It was great. I really enjoyed it. Oh, and then they also added the VR mode very recently too, which I think is free if you have Resident Evil 4 Remake. So that is also a dope feature. So you get it for free, but then you got to spend like another $600 on a VR system. I really enjoyed it, super great, and I feel like it's only at number 3 and not 2 and 1 because it is a remake of Resident Evil 4. A lot of the things that it still does great were just copied from Resident Evil 4, but it was just enhanced in a bunch of different areas, and that's why it's really a number 3 and not 2 and 1, just personally speaking. This was a tough one, putting number 2 and number 1, because they could be interchangeable though between each other. Coming in at number 2 is going to be Hi-Fi Rush. Here's the thing that I really love about Hi-Fi Rush, okay? Obviously, I'm a Devil May Cry guy, I'm a beat 'em up guy, I'm an action guy, you all know that. Hi-Fi Rush did it right, but not only did it do it right, but it did it in a way that was very unique in the character action genre, as well as just action in general, with the like rhythmic beat 'em up style with the beat hits. I also really loved the story. I loved Chai as a character. I loved all of the characters of the supporting cast. The main villains are just so memorable, and I love it. I really do. Yeah, I got very emotional during this too. It was made by Tango, Shinji Mikami. Yeah, no, Tango did really good work with Hi-Fi Rush, and it motivated me to check out their other catalogs as well. I think for me, Hi-Fi Rush is one of those games that I could recommend to anybody that likes video games and they would have a good time with it. Just being able to beat stuff up while also being challenged by doing the rhythm beats and actually hitting the attacks on the beat. And it just makes it another cool experience for people like myself who love Devil May Cry, who love the character action genre. It takes like a very unique spin on it, and I'm really looking forward to what Tango is doing next. I'm really hoping for a Hi-Fi Rush 2, but if not a Hi-Fi Rush 2, I just want to see them do more stuff like this because I really enjoyed it. And coming in at number 1 is Final Fantasy XVI. Like I said, 1 and 2 were very interchangeable. They were very back and forth with me. I obviously can't recommend Final Fantasy XVI to everybody. However, I think that the quality of Final Fantasy XVI should be duly noted, and I feel like you get more out of Final Fantasy XVI with just the runtime alone, as well as the scale of all of the fights as well. It takes a book out of Devil May Cry's action category as well, and it feels very similar to that while having a lot of similar moves, a lot of similar mechanics like enemy step. I feel like this is a perfect combination between that sort of combat from Devil May Cry, taking a little bit of Platinum Games' arsenal with like MGR and all the set pieces and stuff, on top of what Kingdom Hearts does as well with their whole like classes stuff and all the different styles that you can utilize, as well as like the different inventory stuff. It's just like a perfect combination that I think works really well to sort of like expand on the action genre while still keeping a lot of those RPG elements in there. The boss fights are absolutely amazing and some of the best that I have played all year, all of the set pieces, and I think that just the story of this game really did it for me. When I played the demo for this, I was motivated to pick up the game. I did not care about Final Fantasy XVI until I played that demo, and I ended up playing it twice, and the Echoes of Fallen DLC not too long ago. I'm trying to think of what else to say because this game was just so good, and I really enjoyed it. I loved all of the performances, Clive as a character. I feel like Ben Starr really stole the show and made me care about Clive as much as I did, and that's probably why I'm ranking it so high on this list also. It's my game of the year. I don't really have anything else to say about it besides just it was absolutely amazing, and I'm looking forward to people on PC giving it a try when it eventually comes out next year. And I think that Final Fantasy XVI is another really good game to get if you own a PlayStation 5, at least right now. So that is my top 10 list for 2023. A lot of really good video games came out this year. These are just the 10 that I played among like the honorable mentions that I would have liked to play, but hopefully will at some point soon. But I would like to know what your top 10 games of this year are, or more specifically your game of the year also. If you want to write the whole list, I'd love to see it. I'm really looking forward to next year's catalog of video games. We're already starting off strong with Like a Dragon 8, Infinite Wealth. I know that the Suicide Squad game is coming out as well, and I'm not 100% looking forward to it per se, but maybe I would give it a shot. But I don't know. It's just not really my type of game, and we'll kind of see how that progression kind of goes. And obviously we have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth that's going to be coming out shortly after that as well. So we're already starting off next year with a bang, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens next year. So thank y'all again so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos from me, be sure to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more. Turn that bell on to get notified on when the next video goes live. And if you would like to help support the channel even more, consider becoming a YouTube member. I have a join button if you want to see a couple of like behind the scenes stuff, as well as seeing a couple of these types of videos a little bit earlier. Thank y'all again so much for watching. Hope you all have a great rest of your evening, and I will see you next time.